を壊すぞ地響き立てて吠える怪獣大怪獣ふわっと開いた口から炎辺り一面焼け野原間違ってない死が迫る帰ってきたぞ帰ってきたぞ帰ってきたぞウルトラマンウルトラマンウルトラマン
Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 110. My name is Red. I am joined by Mel.
Hey guys, so like we've been doing this Ultraman thing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been thinking, just getting the brain juices flowing. I think I made my Ultraman OC. Do you want to see him?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a big dig off.
Okay, so I'm looking at a picture.
He's got a big penis.
Yeah.
He's really cool.
Wow, that's a very large penis. Yes.
He's got this aura where everyone loves him. And he's really strong. He's got this secret katana in his wrist, and he goes, "Hey, nothing personal." And he can kill 100 guys, and he has a billion tons. He can kill all the evil aliens really fast, and he also has a big penis.
I like the touch that the big penis is red, because the red, as established, is flesh.
Oh yes, of course. Yes, as
True.
With the lore.
Yeah, this is an excellent OC. We'll put him in an official manga.
I can't wait for Shoji Otoma to tell us the situation with the Ultra Foreskin.
Yeah. Also joined by Brad.
I blew last week's bit on the wrong one.
What was last? Yes.
Speaking of OCs.
Yes. This is
much more applicable here.
Here's the thing. By being an OC manga, we also get our Zoffy manga.
Yes.
True.
Let me tell you, I'm sure if you watched the shorts, Red, you'll get at least one idea of a song to use for the end of this podcast or at the start.
Yeah.
Your favorite.
It was a good song.
But also, I had asked Sir Jixer if there were any Zoffy related songs, and he slid some over to me.
I see.
So
Zoffy songs? Okay. Well,
we'll get to those. Well, you'll get to those.
We will get to those. We're going to talk about, frankly, an incredibly just not like the deepest manga in the world. So maybe don't expect Ultraman to be going very long this week. We'll get to that. Before then, we're gonna do our usual shit. I did a thing. I finished a fantasy novel trilogy. I finished Assassin's Quest. I have been reading this third book a lot longer than it took me to read the second book. This is not a coincidence. Assassin's Quest is a little slow. It's kind of separated into two halves. I think the first half is pretty good, and then the second half starts kind of I was really trudging through it. It was real stop-start stuff, and then I think towards the end it sort of capped off the trilogy very well. So I think on the whole, excellent trilogy. I think maybe the first two books are 5 stars. This book is maybe a 4-star, but not derogatory. This is good. I'm a fan.
Yeah. Just a bit less to your taste than the previous stuff.
A bit less to my tastes, overall. I still think that, I still think in terms of character writing in a fantasy novel, I still think this is maybe ruining a lot of the rest of the genre for me. I'm just my standards are just going up and up and up constantly reading this. I'm just this is just better than everyone else. This is it's I think there's also just so much fast. There's a lot of there's a lot of like doing a lot of fantasy stuff, executing on it just very, very, very well in a way that's like very interested in being like, well, how would this what is this really? For instance, in like A Song of Ice and Fire, we have like a bunch of also various fantasy novels, psychic connection with like animals, like you got like character with an animal companion type stuff.
Druid class.
Yeah, but it's like we've got that here with Fitz, but one, it's tied into like a type of magic that is like has like it's like has ideological elements to it because it's like
this just got me thinking of like, I think it's from Doctor Who, the clip of like the vampires who were chased away by the Soviet soldier holding the hammer and sickle.
That's really good. I'm like, it's like because like the wit is a type of magic that's like looked down upon, but like and it's kind of like it's sort of like, well, if you weren't part of this like rigid hierarchy type society, if you weren't being brought up in this feudal society, more people might be tapped into the wit, because it's just it's like Fitz kind of posits that like everyone's got it a little bit somewhere. This is when a mother attends to her child before the child starts crying, that's the wit in action.
What are children but tiny little animals, really?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like this I think really interesting thing, and then it gets into like, because he's got this bond with this wolf, and the thing that's been happening is Robin Hobb has been really interested in sort of like big ideas about what this means for Fitz and this wolf, and also just like interested in little inconveniences of it, and just like interpersonal stuff. Like at some point the idea gets raised that like, Fitz, if you have sex with a woman, you should probably tell her about the wolf thing, because like it's really weird. It's like the idea that there might be a wolf involved somewhere in your brain in this whole thing is strange, and it's really, there's like, because one of Fitz's ongoing things is that he's very denying, like he doesn't want to. He's constantly in the now. He's very impulsive, and it's kind of implied that this is because he's becoming more wolfish. Meanwhile, his wolf is starting to think in terms of like days instead of like time until the next hunt, and it's like strange to the wolf that he can count. The wolf can count and is like, that's really weird. It's cool. Things, the wolf being like thinking ahead and asking Fitz questions about like, well, what's going to happen if this happens? And Fitz being like, I don't want to think about that right now. And I just think it's it just leaves things like Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire in the fucking dust in terms of what it's doing, and the stuff that was in the first Wheel of Time novel. No idea where that goes, but I don't expect it to be on this level.
I've been thinking about Wheel of Time lately.
Oh no.
Do I want to open up that do I want to ruin 2 years of my life again?
Oh no. I'm telling you right now, you could just read this trilogy, and you wouldn't even need to invest in the rest of the Robin Hobb stuff, because this trilogy ends, and it's like, well, you could stop there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. There are some other fantasy creatures that I think are can be very boring because everyone does them. And here they're not, because they're very interesting and they're tied into the other magic, and it's really cool. It's what
if you
I'm
just
also
made
like
something original?
Yeah. It's it's good. It's like I'm
making a fantasy novel, and I have to make a Tolkien-esque elf. I just have to.
I mean, look. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, you are at this point giving some praise to Brandon Sanderson, who does not do that. This is one of, you know,
broken clock.
He sucks for, yeah, it's true. He sucks for other reasons. I'm also just like, I'm still on like the sort of like the idea of like this, what if there was a really sad king and you were so loyal to him because he was such a great guy, is great. But so there's this character called Prince Verity, who is not the really cool king. Prince Verity is like the younger brother of the guy called Chivalry, who was gonna be the really cool king, and instead Prince Verity has to step up because Chivalry died, and Prince Verity is like it's so, because you know he doesn't have it like Chivalry did, but he's doing his best. He's doing his best. That's my king.
Did they have to name him Chivalry?
Yeah. I
think it's good. I think it's good we need more people who are just Tomino brained with the names.
This is like a thing in the royal line, is they name people that like traits. They're doing they're doing nominative determinism always. Like the their dad is called Shrewd. The
their buff uncle is called Tiny.
Yeah, the really younger brother is called Regal. He sucks so much. I really like this. I just think attention to detail. There's an attention to detail of character that warrants the sort of slower style in a way that, you know, the later like A Song of Ice and Fire books where I'm just like, this is fucking boring, kill me. Those don't warrant it. And the first Wheel of Time novel. That could have been a 300-page novel, frankly.
I think like there was probably a time where I was definitely interested in Wheel of Time, and then you didn't like the first one, and then I realized that it was Brandon Sanderson who completed the series, and I was like, well, I guess there's no hope for this. Yeah,
I mean, no, you know. Anyway, I've been doing loads of other shit as well, because I've started like 20 anime. But
yeah, I'm sure you'll finish all of them in a timely fashion.
I'll finish all of them in a timely manner. I started like I've Cardcaptor Sakura is my new Sunday show. Okay, so here's the schedule at the minute. My Sunday show, 2 episodes of Cardcaptor Sakura. My Tuesday show, working from home day, is Pat Labor on TV, Pat Labor on television.
Yes.
My
the one that was made by the conservative guy on Headgear who fucking hated Oshi.
Well, you know, hopefully he makes good TV. My Thursday show, another working from home day, is what is it? Oh, Ancient Magus Bride. Because I'd never seen that. Again, 2 episodes. My Saturday show, what is it? Oh, Given. I'm watching Given, so that'll be a quick one. And then I also just have started. I watched the first episode of X Kaiser. I watched 4 episodes of Build Fighters Try this morning. I watched. I have for someone somewhere else. Someone asked me if they should read or watch Death Note, and I was like, probably watch. And someone posted something, and I as a joke said I should rewatch Death Note, and they immediately started a thread in that Discord channel called like Black Notebook Gay Boy Rewatch, where we're rewatching Death Note. So I was like, okay, well I'm a few episodes deep into Death Note now. And
I'm gonna get to Ray Penber.
I got to bonk Roger in the second episode or first episode. It shows a bunch of names that he's written in the Death Note, and one of them is Bonk Roger with 2 J's. Really good. I'm catching up with Kimito Idol Precure. I'm gonna watch up to episode like 20 and see how I am, because at the minute it's kind of like
I need to catch up a bit. I do feel like the mid-season cures are adding a bit of sauce, but I also wonder if how that's going to be long term.
I see.
I think there's like they're doing something there that's like it made me go like, oh yeah, I forgot that the Av Musica writer who left in the middle of that show is now writing Freakier.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we will see. We will see. So yeah, I'm
determined.
I'm watching a little too much anime. I've still got ongoing stuff as well.
Yeah.
I'm making mistakes, but I'm enjoying them. That's me. Oh,
yeah.
now it's fucking raining a lot. That's gonna.
It's raining here too.
Not here. Sunny days for me.
Sunny day for you. That is loud. I think that's gonna pick up on my mic. Oh well.
Wild Red, I have a feeling that's the same weather system that impacted the F1 race minutes ago.
Ah.
Are you switching to your wet tires?
I've switched to my wet tires, by which I mean I'm doing nothing. I'm just I'm just still sat here. Yeah, that's me this week. You want to go next?
I have like one thing I can really think of. This is a long weekend for me because 4th of July, so I took off Thursday because I went.
I know, but you can read this weekend.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, I'm just gonna chill. One thing I have been holding to talk about until I was like, I want to get a few in before I really talk about the experience of this is for the past 2 months. I did miss one session, but I made 3 out of the 4 that we've had so far. Have been doing Paizo organized play for Pathfinder 2nd Edition at my local game store because someone wanted to get that going in the local community, and I happened across the posting where someone was like, hey, I want to start doing this. And I went, sure, why not? I haven't really been active in a tabletop thing in a little bit here, so let's hop in. So this is a thing that started, I want to say, around the early 2000s with, like, specifically D&D 3rd edition. But organized play is like a company, like, I don't know, like a company-promoted style of play that happens, that gets people into hobby stores, obviously, which, supports that whole ecosystem. You also, if you go to one of these stores, and I feel like I've heard this was a thing with, like, even, like, the older D&D ones and stuff, too, but most of the stores have it set up where, like, if you participate in one of these games, and then you shop around in the store afterwards, and the group involved hits a specific threshold of spending money at the store, you all get, like, a discount, which is kind of fun. Because it's like, hey, you get to play here, and, you're supporting our business, like, we'll give you a little bit of a cut on the stuff that you're paying for, which is neat. I haven't taken advantage of it yet, just because I'm kind of broke right now, but yeah, the entire idea is that it's kind of like a standardized play where every single session is a self-contained adventure, and like there's no spillover whatsoever. Like, it has to end that night, because ideally this is supposed to be a pick up and play game where anyone can just show up, first come first served, up to 6 people, and then you run through a little fun adventure that Paizo staff has put together, and then everyone's GM across, the world goes ahead and then records what happened in the adventure, and then Paizo goes back and looks at, like, finds the average common result narratively of all of the adventurers across the world, and then makes their following adventures kind of, like, based on that narrative, if that makes sense.
That's pretty cool.
It is. It's neat.
It's like 1 million monkeys at typewriters.
Yeah. Honestly, here's the thing. Because there is a map someone made. I don't think it's, like, official, so there's probably some stuff missing. But someone has put together, like, a Google map of, like, here is literally every store in the world that has one of these. And frankly, it's less than you'd think. just because like hobby stores themselves are kind of a dying breed, which is a shame. But it still it's quite a few groups to juggle. And it does seem to be slowly growing. Like I said, this group is new. It's only 2 months old, but it seems like this is kind of a thing. Like the last few years, people have been making more and more of them. It's neat. It's interesting. It is obviously a less character-driven style of play than you would just by playing at home with a consistent group of people, because first of all the adventures are standalone, and sometimes there are characters and situations reoccurring, which is fun, and obviously like you will lean into that roleplay wise, but at the same time, it's not like you're showing up with a character backstory that you're expecting to be rolled into the plot, right? Like nobody's here for that. It can't be crafted around your characters in that particular way. It needs to serve anyone that could show up, including like if six new people wanted to just show up, like the GM just has to deal with that and be like, okay, this one's being handled by a completely different group of Pathfinders. So narratively, maybe a little bit less satisfying. Luckily, Pathfinder 2nd Edition is just a fun enough game to play in terms of how it's built out. It's just a good strategy combat game. So that's been pretty fun. And the adventures, because they're made by Paizo, they do a pretty good job of giving you all sorts of challenges that mean that different types of characters are always going to have their chance to shine no matter what the situation calls for. Something I'll say about like the Pathfinder games I've run, and even some of the published modules, is I feel like a lot of the times I feel like traps kind of get left by the wayside in Pathfinder stuff, and in the organized play you can tell like every single adventure I've played in one of them, it feels like there is a trap that has a couple different methods of overcoming or dismantling it or dealing with it in some way. And I'm like, that's neat, because it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, is my character gonna help out in social encounter or combat, and that's it. Like sometimes there's just other challenges to overcome too, or hazards along the way that your character can shine during. So that's been fun. This is the first time in a hot minute I've played a tabletop game in person, and while it's nice to be able to just like, this is a schism you'll see in online tabletop communities where it's like, oh, playing online will never be the same as playing in person. And like socially as a hangout experience, obviously I do agree with that. Like it is nice to like just be around a table with people and hang out. If I do have to be honest though, if I'm thinking about like the tabletop RPG as a game and as a system, you get so many more options, and the boundaries get pushed so much further, like, back for what the... I want to say back, that sounds like it's restricting. The boundaries expand so much more if you're all doing this in a virtual space, and you don't need to worry so much about physical limitations.
Tabletop.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, we have so much more room to just use our imaginations, I feel, actually. The problem, though, then, too, is I do feel like when you are doing it virtually, it's a lot easier for people to get distracted or just not have their heart in it as much. Obviously, digital distractions abound when you just have your thing open up in a browser tab versus sitting at a table with your devices probably put away. But, that's always something that if it gets bad enough, you can just talk to someone and be like, hey, bro, pay attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's honestly... It's one of those things where it's like, if I really wanted like a serious tabletop experience, I feel like I'd be more inclined to just like, hit up people and be like, hey, do you want to do a thing?
Yeah.
Which honestly I might soon. Like I still haven't run that Lancer game I've been wanting to run. I have a few fun ideas for that, just to test out the system. I've been OSR brained again. I've been opening up the old fucking homebrew setting documents and taking a glance at those. I'm like, fuck, I feel like running something again. But, yeah, just as an excuse to get out of the apartment, highly recommend Paizo Organized Play. That store is also a big Warhammer and Magic store. And I can feel the claws of Magic the Gathering.
Why did you get on the Final Fantasy deck? I
did.
Oh.
I bought that.
Oh.
Well, fuck.
It came with the code.
You disarmed me.
Not only did I buy the starter Final Fantasy deck that comes with the code to be like, hey, do you want this exact copy of this deck in your Magic the Gathering Arena account digitally? I also bought one of the booster boxes. And I was like, ooh, pretty cards. I will give credit to the Magic the Gathering YouTube community, though. Because right now, all of the big major voices, which, like, I don't know any of these people by name, but, like, just the big channels, have all one thing in common right now, which is them saying, boy, Magic sure is getting more and more expensive and inaccessible to play. Hey, if you're hopping on with the Final Fantasy set, just know it's usually not this expensive. It might be this expensive going forward. This is becoming a problem. And I went, oh, good. Okay, I'm gonna hold off then, and maybe reconsider. Sometimes communities can be good. But yeah, I've been hobby shop stuff rather than... I haven't really been watching or reading or playing much as of right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, if only I could go to... I can't go to my local games shop because I've mentioned this before, but like I had a friend who worked there and he didn't like the people who ran that place and they didn't like him.
Oh, you just know every...
I know everything that's going on, and also they know that I'm his friend, and like I'm just like, vibes just bad. Vibes, I just can't go in there.
Unfortunate.
That is the problem. I always feel like that's a weird issue with those, because like I do want more spots like that, and I've been exploring that kind of in my, like, we have a comic book shop I have never stepped foot in too, that I'm like, maybe I should, like, I'm not a comic reader, but like maybe I should like get into that space a little bit and just like have an excuse to meet some people and chat and shoot the shit about it and stuff, right? But also too,
very
I'm
funny
like,
of Brad to say I'm not a comic reader on this episode of the podcast specifically.
Actually, I was thinking that. I'm not gonna lie, because I will bring up my experience with Western comics when we get to this fucking manga.
All right.
But yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like, if it does go bad, it's like, well, that was the one place in town.
Yeah.
And like, I don't like it's one of those things where like, if you don't like the people who run the shop, or like there's just the culture there is off, or they got some bad apples they're reluctant to weed out. Yeah, it can be an issue. Anyways, that was my week.
Wow.
Mel, what were you up to?
Yeah. So I don't have too much. One thing I will say that I probably shouldn't get into in depth for red reasons.
Okay.
Season 2 of Apothecary Diaries finished.
Oh, yes. I'm still halfway through
show.
season 1.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty slow compelling. The last arc of season 2 goes pretty wild places I didn't expect. Goes pretty hard. Curious what the plan is right now. I feel like I need to like almost read a summary to just be like, there's a lot of threads, and I'm like, what is the big picture? Because there's a lot of names, a lot of threads.
I see.
I'm curious where it's going. I do feel more weird mixed feelings of the Deuteragonist coming out of the season.
Oh.
Jinchi.
Yeah.
Just because, like, this is the thing, like, our friend Emily brought up about some of her qualms of the show. It's just, like, he's, you know, the friendly... he's, like, the sort of, like, pretty, like, eunuch guy, kind of, who's, like, framed as, like, the romantic love interest to Mao, even though Mamo has like Basara energy of like, I don't know what this is kind of thing. And so when he's getting a bit hands-on in a way that's like, I don't know. What does the show want me to think about this? Because it feels like he's not in the right, but is the show framing as bad, or is it still trying to think it's a romantic, even as Mao's like, what the fuck are you doing, weirdo? So we'll see. But yeah, I'm not really sure what to think. I see season 3 got announced, so that's cool. I want to read the novels at some point, but I think each season so far is like each core has been adapted into one novel, so I think like season 2 adapts up to season 3 and 4. So
yeah,
and I think there's like 15 of them out in English, so I know, or something.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of novel. I'm just like, damn, this keep going. I wonder where the plan is.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
that slow burn.
It is a slow. I guess I do appreciate that. It's a slow burn series. I feel like I'm curious what the plan is. I definitely have to like also, despite like it was being like a few months between like season 2 starting and me finishing season 1. I was a bit like, I gotta remember who these guys are and what their ideals are. There's like plot points that come up in season 2 that like happen in season 1. I was like, oh, this character came back. And they're plot important, and I'm like, well, yeah, I forgot this person.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, I do, definitely like, oh yeah, this is still one of the most enjoyable things I've watched this year.
Sick.
Yeah. But otherwise, I haven't been up to too much. Not to get into it, but I haven't been in a weird headspace lately. Weird limbo as well after graduating. Not really employed yet, and kind of like feel weird about it.
Yeah.
Getting a bit existential. For whatever reason, think about my grandfather, who I spent a year living with in my first year of undergrad, which has been a decade ago. Even though he passed away a couple years ago. And kind of thinking, oh yeah, even though I spent most of that time with him, I didn't feel like I didn't really know him very well. The one thing I did like remember of him is like he always had like he would go out with his buddies every weekend. There's this place called Woodbine in Mississauga. He'd go every weekend to watch the horse races, which is why I'm here to tell you about the new mobile game Musume Pretty Derby.
I was wondering where the fuck this is going.
The horsies have got you.
Yes, I didn't expect this to happen, but this is the one that got me.
Half my friend group also got claimed by the horse game. The other half got claimed by the Persona 5 game and are making Subway Slammer jokes.
It is really funny that like the both games I think like launched the same day.
Yes.
And everyone's like, everyone's talking about horses, and the only thing I know about Persona 5 is the Subway Slammer.
Okay.
I saw someone post an image where the guy goes, "The whole subway is mine for the slam," and I went, that's a funny joke. And then everyone in that group chat replied, "That's not a joke, that's a real image." He actually says that.
I saw this great video of like I think it was on Billy B or something, where like it was like a parody where someone like saw that Drew made the Subway Slammer slam into Kamoshida, and then Kamoshida starts doing like what's his name? One of the Akari warriors from KOF doing grappler combos on him. It was really good.
I also thought when I first saw the term Subway Slammer going around, this was like an actual meal deal that Subway came out with.
Yes.
But
yeah,
the horsey thing. I mean, this is kind of one that's gone in reverse because like the Uma Musume has been available in Japan for a while, but like there's been like 3 seasons of the anime, and people really like the anime. And so then the game hits now, and it's like, oh, of course my entire timeline is people getting Uma Musume.
If I remember correctly, like the first season actually came out in advance of the anime in Japan too.
I see.
But yeah, I am currently. I think I watched that show like the first season only, like a few years ago. My friend and I are they're a big fan, and so I sort of like because I watched Utena with them. I was like, oh, this is my favorite show. Now they're like, oh, well, it's my turn to force you to watch this.
I see.
That was independent of this game hitting. Yeah.
But now the game hits, and you're here.
Now the game hits, and I was like, well, I want to try it, because like I heard it was like a racing sim, which is like a genre I don't have a familiarity with. Mm-hmm. Turns out it's also a roguelike in a way, which is also a genre I haven't played with, really.
Oh, is this what people mean by they're doing the girls' careers? Is this like you have to get a good run?
Yes.
Okay, I see.
In fact, here's a run I started just before starting the podcast, and I've had in the background as we've been talking.
Oh my god.
Here's a Rice Shower, who is the best. She is a Blorbo. She's got a knife, I guess, for some reason, because she's an assassin. You got these stats that you raise. You got stats.
I saw that
speed.
swimsuit.
Listen, this is a cool swimsuit. They go in the pool. It's fine.
Yeah.
You got speed. You got your stamina, power. Guts apparently is useless.
I see.
Right now in the current build of the game. Though I also had a run where last night where I got pretty far with a lot of guts for some reason. Anyway, I think guts is like stamina is basically your like HP in the race, and you don't want to run out, which is why it's good to have it pretty high. But guts makes it you lose less. But speed is like the most important stat. And you raise it and stuff. And yeah, you have different like careers. Each girl has like her own like each career is personalized to the horses. So like the different races they run and the goals they have are like.
So they each get an arc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that one.
Not
you
that
can
one.
see right here. Yeah. You got all these goals. You got to hit. As part of the career, you where's the fucking? You have like a kind of have like a deck building thing, which I guess is like where the gacha comes in, unfortunately, because you have not only do you like roll for which horses you can train, but also there's this thing called support cards.
I see.
Which are like these are like cards you put in your deck at the start of a career. I mean, your deck is like 6 cards or something, with one being a friend slot card, and that populates the raising sim section with events basically. And that like you get like you got little NPC interactions with the different horses, and that contributes to different stat growths and stuff like you see here. And sometimes like you get skills, because skills are important in the races and stuff. And then you gotta stuff like that. And you got the races, you got skills to make sure you like don't lose stamina or fuck with the other horses. And then you go to the racetrack, and you watch the races because it's a simulation. You don't actually control the horses. It's all entirely like
yeah.
It's like you don't, much like a real horse racing. You don't actually control the horse
unless you're the
while
jockey.
You're watching. Well, yeah, the Kurankes of the world. You just everyone's just like they're running. And you just watch the race and hope that you raise the correct stats in order to make it work out. There's different like strategies that your horse can have. Is your horse someone who runs in front? In which case maybe you want to prioritize different stats than the others. If you're running at full speed the entire time, maybe you run out of stamina faster than if you're keeping pace in the back. But also, if you're keeping pace in the back, maybe you need more power so that you don't get blocked in by the horse in front of you. So and obviously those also the length of the tracks you run depend. They impact what the strategies are too. Because if you're a front runner on a sprint race, you don't have to give shit about anything else but speed, because it's really fast. But if you're in a long race, then stamina and stuff becomes a lot more important. And yeah, it's. To some degree, it's sort of like you gotta learn. There's definitely obviously you can't ignore the fact that at the end of the day, there's a gacha game, so there's obviously the gambling mediation. But at the same time, despite the fact that it's you're not controlling the horses in the races, this can be. I think it's like pretty engaging, and it's like a mountain to climb, because like obviously like not easy. Most of my runs have failed, which I think is just normal. And
that's roguelike behavior right there.
Yeah, and like having the better horses, not having the better horses, but having the better cards makes your runs go better, obviously. So gambling. Let's go game.
Let's go game.
But at the same time, it's like it's not impossible. And like the other thing is like a bit of more of a roguelite element is in keeping with no wait, where's the fucking here we go. Okay, so you can see here I got like the cards in my deck, but also each time you finish a career you get a new legacy So like you start off every horse starting at 0, but like you get like a basically a clone of them into your inventory, I guess you could say, whenever you finish a riding. Like that's the legacy one, and those legacy horses can be used to recreate an essential part of real life horse racing, eugenics.
Yay!
Where you have the 2 legacy horses that are your quote unquote inspiration.
You make the horse girls fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically like not abstracting out the actual biological element of, this
Sorry, yes, I have to be more specific. You make the horse girls breed with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Except in this case, it's like, there's not, you have 2 random horses and they pass on their, like, skills and perks and stuff like that to your horse, and that way each horse, you like, theoretically, as you do more runs, you start getting better and better horses, and you're able to get further along in the career. Also, you have your energy here. Each training, most training, wit, where you study in class, it gives you energy. But all the other ones, you take energy. And if you have like, this percent chance of failure, if you get like under 50% energy, and you don't want to press your luck and fail your training, if you're better off resting and getting that energy back, if your energy's too low, because otherwise you'll start spiraling. You'll have like, I failed the training, my mood's dropped.
I've been seeing a bunch of stuff about like the psychological element.
Yeah, your spy master starts a faction against you, etc.
Oh yeah, classic.
I'm just like, this is the ways where the same genre elements, CK2 and horses racing across the aisle.
I'm doing eugenics in Crusader Kings. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like,
to be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not doing the eugenics enough in Crusader Kings. I'm not engaging with it, and I'm always winding up with mid airs.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's just like monarchy, to be honest.
That's just how it goes in real life. Oh, the curse of the mid air.
Yeah. Bet they didn't think about this when they had a monarchy system. It's like,
Yeah, they never considered it.
Yeah. But yeah, like this is like I feel like raising sims are not like a genre well established in the West, so there's definitely a degree to which I was like, I want to try this because this might be
it's just like
as good a representative.
It's just like whatever was. I don't even know what the availability of like the Princess Maker games was over here, but then it's just like Idol Masters, and like those are the only 2 names I can pull from my brain.
Yeah, and like I think
the early Princess Maker games, I'm pretty sure, did have some English releases, either officially. I think
there's some Princess Makers on Steam that are English, but also they're not necessarily considered the best quality ports, which is an issue. And yeah, Idolmaster famously basically non-existent here in the West. I heard from a friend that like this franchise got spawned because Cygames was one of the co-developers of like Cinderella Girls on mobile phones, and they're eventually like, what if we had our own idol thing that we owned? And somehow it became a horse thing, but they still sing at the end of the game. I don't know why they do that. That's still one of the things. Like, this is a weird.
Yeah, they're still doing the idol thing for some reason. I didn't know this about Uma Musume until I saw people posting it. I genuinely just thought it was like they dress up and they race. I didn't know they sang. I didn't know they did.
Yeah, it's
shows
really,
what people care about.
It's the thing that's really jarring in the first season of the anime. I heard that the later seasons of the anime do put it in less and focus more on the hype and aura moments of the races.
Yeah.
But still in the game. You can still you can look at the concert theater. I will not be showing you the concert theater, but you can look at here's all the songs from all the idol stuff. It weird how that happens. You can't also just like
I like this horse girl's hat. This is Rice Shower.
Yeah, she's got a nice hat. She's got a knife for some reason because she's the assassin.
I see.
They apparently put a lot of thought into the designs and the arcs of the
So-
characters as based on the actual horse races.
So yes, the thing I know is that they're doing like stuff based on like the real horses, and like this I think is Rice Shower is the one that won races and no one cheered for the horse because
Yes,
they
'cause I
had
think she's,
because
like-
the horse had ruined like a streak from some famous horse.
Yeah, I feel like she was the horse who like kept winning and upsetting favorites.
Yes.
As opposed to the other Haru Urara, who was the horse who became beloved because she won
The
zero
horse who
races.
never wins anything. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That my my friend Marie now calls her daughter.
Yes.
I love the art of that horse saying like I'm gonna win and just blue shell.
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
Anyway.
I fuck with all the designs. It feels like it's weird. It definitely tickles my Magic Girl sensibilities, even though they're not that.
Yeah, they're still dressed up in frills often.
Yeah, I do wonder if there's like an aesthetic lineage from Cygames' other cutesy girl game, Princess Connect, which is definitely has fallen from grace, I think, in the years since. Like I remember, like, you know, there's a period in like pre-pandemic where I was like, oh, Cygames announced Grand Blue Reeling and Versus. It'd be nice if they did that for Princess Connect so I could actually engage with those characters. And then that franchise kind of just, it had its time in the sun.
It had 2 seasons of anime.
Yeah, and now it's Horse Girl time alongside Grand Blue, which I guess is Eternal.
Grand Blue, yeah.
Not to be confused with the Eternals in Grand Blue.
Okay. Well, everything I know about Grand Blue, I know about Grand Blue, I have learned from Gigi Marin, Fujo yelling about some angel guy.
Yeah.
I know every few months my friends participate in Guild Wars and it ruins their lives, and
they
it
hate
scared me from ever playing that game.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess, kudos to Cygames for making another exploitative hit.
Yeah.
This time through the medium of prettyifying a really exploitative industry also about gambling. Which, I am enjoying this game and so are my oomfies. But, Jackson's post about this game is still correct.
About it being like several layers of evil. Yeah.
Yes. It's just,
That's how...
I think Air Groove is cool. That's about all I could weigh it on.
I mean, Air Groove is cool.
Yeah, most of the designs, I'm just like, yeah, these are like give or take, like all right, and then I'm like, oh, she's cool.
Yeah,
I've been like, oh, I like Gold Ship ever since I saw years and years ago now. I saw art of Gold Ship wearing sunglasses with like, and it's just like, oh, this is Quattro Bagina.
Yeah. Gold Ship is a creature, a gremlin, who I think in her campaign, she has events where she has a tendency to crash out just because that's what the real horse does.
Yes.
And I think in the first season of the anime, there's like, a montage where she tries to like continuously prank Majora McQueen and constantly gets injured in the eye in the process. Which, sums up the character pretty well.
I see.
But,
I will... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna, not every design is, like, necessarily a winner for me, but a lot of them are, like, really strong. Like, I had the thing where it's like, damn, every once in a while, they keep bringing horses with the best design ever. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy how they do it.
I will say something me and my friends have noticed because, like, I mean, I've watched a lot of this game just because my friends are, like, streaming it when we're in calls and stuff.
So is Northern Lion, apparently.
Yes, but let me tell you, those friends also big Northern Lion heads. They're feasting right now. But I will say,
he locked in.
I feel like the musical component is maybe a little.
It does. The songs aren't like the best.
They're kind of bad.
Yeah, they're okay. They do feel like kind of generic idol songs, which they're not like. There's idol shows I like, but it's also like not my favorite thing. And also, it does just feel like incongruous with like the reason I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
You're
here for the athletic horse girls.
Yeah, and like I guess like the animation looks good. I think the game looks nice, and like the animations and the performances look good. But they still like it is still jarring when it's like, see the shitpost I made about this very thing, where I was like, and now the live performance.
Yeah.
So, I'm definitely, looking forward to when my friend and I eventually get to season 2, and it does have, like, less of that stuff. But, at the very least, it's like, there aren't enough songs that you're like, you're not seeing them most of the time. Usually it'll be like, when you sort of like unlock a song for like the first time, like you clear your conditions for it, they'll like show you the concert as mandatory. But otherwise it's just, you can safely ignorable, at least. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the thing's strength, even though it's like technically how it got its origin, I guess.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, that's just kind of me. I feel like, just like my kind of like weird lack of spoons for most activities has meant it's just been easy to like play this more than other things right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me like watch and play stuff as much. So
yeah.
But Brad and I did have a good session of Abyss, where maybe the funniest thing in that game happened. So that's cool.
Yeah. Also, someone in the chat, someone showed up in the chat and was like, "Is that Rosin?" And I went, "What the?"
Yeah, it was like someone who's like, "Yeah, I clicked on a random Tales of the Abyss stream, and suddenly I'm hearing Rosin's voice on the other end."
That was so weird.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I should start jump scaring people.
You just have this ability. You have this ability to turn up where people. Listen. I watched like a bunch of your Let's Plays. I didn't know you liked Gundam, and then
I had this conversation with him during the stream where I was like, I didn't know Brad as an LPer. I just like happened to stumble upon their Gundam post and was like, oh, this person has 2 good takes. I should follow him.
Yeah, it just turned up one day
and
under
then
like a Jackson post, and I was like, that's the fucking what? It's so weird.
That's dumb.
I think I only learned Brad did LPs because you, Red, specifically mentioned watching their LPs in the past.
Yeah, it was that I'd kept it on the down low for a while. It was like one day Brad said, "Oh yeah, there are some people who like know me through my Let's Plays," and I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" Thanks. I didn't have to play Dragon Guard.
No, it's that. I'm frankly perplexed that like I just kind of did SMT and Drakengard 1 and everyone else went, I'm good. I guess the real answer is that streaming took over and nobody does Let's Plays anymore.
Nobody does fucking Let's Plays anymore.
Some people do.
The one, yeah, I mean, but like, when
but the audience is much smaller, unfortunately, which is a shame because I honestly honestly prefer it to streaming.
One of the greatest things that ever happened was reading the comments or like the live chat for the premiere of like one of Fauna's Outer Wilds Let's Play episodes, and them being like, "Wow, I really like this format," and I was like, "Yes." That's right. You can't backseat someone who's not live right now.
At some point, the internet decided they wanted content like people to just do 4 hours all in one go and not like easily digestible 20 to 30 minute chunks. It kills me.
Bizarre.
I just want to watch someone for 30 minutes and be like, okay, tomorrow there'll be more. But like, no. What happened?
No.
Bring back the Let's Player. I should do this. I should be. I have this power. Why am I?
You have this power. You do not use it.
I don't.
Yeah. Well, that Fauna Outer Wilds Let's Play is really good. There was one thing in the game she just never saw, and every week, like every day, it was me.
I saw the memes.
Yeah, me and everyone showing up to play it, being like, "Oh my god, you can't be serious, Fauna."
That's pretty good. One day I'll play that game.
It's a really good video game.
I was just thinking actually earlier this week, it has been so long that like I think everything I've been spoiled on possibly in that game, the few things I have, I think have actually actually left my brain.
Excellent. That's a good video game.
I know one thing about a tornado, and that's all I can recall. And I'm sure that's a very minor thing in the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just saw a really good post about the horses.
One really good post about the horses to cap off the horses.
Yes, Northern Lion tepid. This is from at n9x.tel on Blue Sky, which I guess I'll retweet as well. Northern Lion tepidly playing the Kemono and Mimi horse girl game out of sense of obligation after mentioning he'd do it on a whim, despite flip-flopping on it for a day or two, then going on to scream and full-chestedly compare his horse to Conor McDavid is so fucking funny.
I see.
Oh, actually, Mel, I do have one question.
Yeah?
Can you explain this?
Oh, is this the one that wants to be your mother?
Yes.
Okay,
this is the one where
I have seen more insane dialogue than this, Brad.
Yeah, this is the one where I'm like...
This is an image of...
This is unhinged.
This is an image of Super Creek saying, "Trainer, I want to play Goo-Goo Babies today. I'm gonna locate for you some... Let me find this. Someone was posting it earlier in another server. A true... Let me be clear. A true freak was posting it in another server going, "Please God, I need her to be real."
Yeah,
Here we go.
Obviously, there's an element of like, haha, the girls you're training, they kind of like you, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like subdued in some cases, but it's obviously there. There's a Valentine's event, and then I play the Super Creek campaign, and I'm like, I'm disarmed by how
yeah. So here's
a full frontal assault on my senses.
Here's some dialogue from Super Creek. Super Creek, I suppose I shouldn't forget that you're an adult trainer, no matter how cute you are. And someone selecting the option, "What prompted that?" And Super Creek responding, "Sorry, it's just you appeared in my dream last night as a little child. You were chasing after me, yelling, 'Mama!' It was really adorable. I'm feeling great today since I got to spoil you a whole lot."
Oh my god.
I am like, this one is kind of unhinged. I don't know what they're doing this one. It feels dangerous.
Art of Shah Aznable and Super Creek, please?
Damn, I can't believe you'd be playing something like this. Anyways, I'm like, I'd say 8/10 of the way to liberating guilty.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice. Well,
we all have our poisons.
Yeah. I don't. I'm.
I was about to say not red, actually.
No, I'm gacha free.
They're enlightened.
I wouldn't say I'm enlightened. I have my poisons. They're just not gacha.
Yeah. You gotta come back to us with your FF14 takes.
Oh. I don't think I'm ever picking that game up again.
And the choice localization decisions.
I can't believe the fucking... There was a diabetes joke in that game. I couldn't believe it. It was called physical pain.
Anyway. I wonder if that guy was just spiritually worked at Working Designs.
Yeah, possibly. Just
because Working Designs would make a diabetes joke. That's just like in line with what they would have done.
Yeah. Anyway. Are you saying we're ready to talk about Ultraman?
Speaking of shoehorned in pop culture references,
Ultraman. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I meant the manga we read, because, oh boy.
Oh, I see.
I wonder how much of that is... I feel like I missed some stuff, but also... Well, I guess we'll get to it.
So, we read a manga. 5 volumes of it, which was much shorter than expected.
Called Ultraman. Not to be confused with the later anime, The Star Ultraman.
Yeah, not the same. Not the same. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm sure we won't have any more confusion over names in the course of this franchise.
So this is an Ultraman manga focused on kind of the Ultramen and like the Land of Light. And they are... It's like, it is mostly about Zoffy, Ultra 7, and this new guy called Melos.
I got some production stuff if you want to, me to do that.
Yeah, go for it.
Before we get into it. Just gonna... The order we do things, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so first of all, setting the stage. We all know manga is a very profitable and popular and big industry in Japan, right? Crazy big. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the manga industry is bigger than the animation industry in Japan.
Possibly.
Look, no. Very big deal.
Well, I know it explicitly because of, like, the public transit, like, manga booms in particular, partially because, like, you're just sitting around a lot, like, waiting to get places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Japan famous is the place where they got into Monster Hunter because it was it was tailor-made for that stuff.
Material conditions, folks.
Yeah.
Tailor your video games.
Anyway, so naturally, when you get all the Ultra series blown up from the jump, you expect various manga adaptations. So beginning off in the 60s, even you get fitting for the series, Ultra Q could get a bunch of one-off chapters across different magazines. Similarly, you got like Ultraman getting a few adaptations across several magazines. Japanese Wiki lists about 5, I think. They're a lot more serialized in comparison to Ultra Q, which I guess makes sense as well. One of the more notable ones seems to be in a weekly shonen magazine by Kazuo Umezu, best known as God of Horror manga, creator of the Drifting Classroom. It was one of more noticeable works. And there's also one in the magazine Bakura by Daichi Kazumine. You have a similar situation happening with 7. But in this case, there was a deal to have adaptations running in both Bakura, again by Daichi Kazumine, and a weekly shonen magazine with additional chapters in monthly spin-off magazines, both at Jiro Kawada. And they're basically like, the 2 adaptations were adapting different and non-overlapping episodes of the show, and sort of like a multimedia push. And a few other ones as well. Even Operation Mystery, which, as we all know, is part of the Ultra series by some metrics. That's got a lot of adaptations in this period as well. Then in 1969, so like after, Ultra series is off the air, before we get to Ultra Fight again, merchandising rights for the Ultra series in Printworks was acquired by the publishing company Shogakukan, which continues to hold the rights to this day. One of their biggest magazines as it relates to superhero media is Telebiken, which begins publication in 1976. It's Telebiken or Televikun. You know how those particular consonants are in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And they also publish the extremely popular children's manga magazine Koro Koro Comic, which is associated with Doraemon and the Pokemon series. In fact, it seems like when Koro Koro was launched in 1977, it specifically launched to be like, this is the magazine of Doraemon. This is what it's going to be from now on. However, for our purposes, our attention will instead be on their grade school series of magazines. The idea was that there would be a magazine for each year of the elementary school year. And that whenever a kid went up a year, to the next grade, they would sort of graduate to the next year's magazine.
Okay.
Not a bad idea,
imagine,
honestly.
Yeah, imagine you're in the yard and you're still reading the old magazine and people bullying you for it.
Yeah. Loser.
Yeah. Grow up.
Yeah.
We're 8 now.
Yeah. None of this 4th grade magazine. We're 5th grade now.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know what grades are. We don't have those here.
Yeah. The series of magazines began in the Taisho era and had magazines for grades 1 to 6. However, most of the grades besides the first grade were discontinued by the 2010s and replaced with more of an all ages magazine by this point. Consolidation. Unlike Telebikun and Koro Koro Comic, which are clearly focused on hobbies and comics, because there's a grade school magazine, they're also like incorporation of educational material, so a bit of mixed stuff. I feel like I had something like similar when I was growing up. There was like a kids magazine here where like it was like not like individual grades but like grade brackets. Like there's like one magazine like called Chickadee, and then you eventually graduate to the Owl magazine. I don't know. It's been a while. I don't even know if it's a Canadian thing or like a Canadian and American thing, but whatever. Yeah. So as you can imagine, these publications had a major impact as an entry point for manga for children. Doraemon actually began publishing one of these magazines before the creation of Koro Koro. And on that note, given the dates of Koro Koro and Telebikun debuting, which is, the mid-70s, late 70s, for the early 70s period of Ultraman, it's these grade school magazines that are most significant, and the primary platform where you had Ultraman manga. So let's list some of these. Return of Ultraman had a number of published comics across different issues of different magazines and different artists, such as Fumio Hisamatsu and Kentaro Nakagusuku. However, the most notable one, and the only one I see the wiki described as a proper series in any detail, is the one in second grade elementary by Mamoru Uchiyama. This one is especially significant because the editor-in-chief of the second grade magazine, Hiroshi Igawa, was the one who created the idea of the Ultra Brothers with the Zoffy as their leaders in the August 1971 issue, which ended up being retroactively put back into the franchise. And there's also the manga where I mentioned back in our Return of Ultraman coverage. This is the manga where the cicadas are killed by a cake bomb. If you like.
Okay. I don't really remember this, but yes.
Yes.
I don't either, but now that I do remember, that's great.
Yeah. Ultraman Ace had a few series, most mostly based on, again, I'm using like the wiki again as like, here's a list of all the ones. Besatsu Shonen Sunday was Mitsuru Hiruta, and then second grade again, Mamoru Uchiyama, that name again. Also, you had third grade.
Did they underline Shonen in the
yes
volumes?
But only halfway through.
No girls allowed. No girls allowed. Get the fuck out.
Third grade, Hisao Hayashi. Fourth grade, Yuzuru Saito, and both fifth and sixth grade, Yoshihiro Morito. As you're seeing, like sometimes these authors are writing for two separate series for the same show in different grades at the same time.
This is, by the way, I'm going to let you continue. This is completely unhinged. No one should have done this. This is awful.
Yes. This is
anyway,
wild.
Continue.
Taro, most notable, you have Weekly Shonen Sunday and first grade, Ken Ishikawa. Second grade and fifth grade, Mamoru Uchiyama. And sixth grade, Yoshihiro Morito.
Ken Ishikawa, real guy. With
respect to the Uchiyama manga, second grade is pretty normal, but fifth grade takes an unorthodox approach. I'm ripping this in the Japanese wiki. The main character is a boy named Takeru who is chased and forced to go on a wandering adventure after learning the existence of invaders who are working in the dark to invade the Earth. The invaders plan to eliminate Takeru and set various traps for him, while at the same time terrorizing people by manipulating monsters for their invasion. Kotaro and Takeru are telepathically linked, and whenever Takeru is in danger, Taro appears and fights the invaders and monsters. Again, quoting the Japanese wiki, the story is a hard-hitting tale with a strong science fiction flavor, where the invaders disguise as humans and hiding in society, and innocent people dying as collateral damage as a result of invaders pursuing Takeru. The ZAT team members other than Kotaro do not appear in the story, and are almost uninvolved in the fight against the invaders. Rather, Kotaro's enlistment in ZAT from the second chapter onwards has the disadvantage that he cannot constantly guard Takeru because he's busy. And then eventually Kotaro gives Takeru a small flamethrower made by Zat. And then eventually Kotaro and the kaiju stop appearing towards the end. It kind of just becomes Takeru fights the invaders manga.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's like wild as an adaptation for Taro, but also like interesting in a way.
Yeah.
Then you get Ultraman Leo. First grade, Daiji Kazumine. Second and third grade, Mamoru Uchiyama. That name keeps coming up. Interesting. Once again, these two mangas share a setting, but the plots go in different directions. Second grade, the content proceeds, a lot. There's some stuff that came before in the broadcast program. So, like, Leo Nunchucks first appeared in this manga before appearing in the show. When adapting...
I fucking forgot those existed.
Well, yeah, they showed up once. When adapting the annihilation of Mac, both Dan and Gen escape to Earth, and Dan even has a restored Ultra Eye, allowing him to turn to 7. However, having sustained fatal injuries in the escape, he decides to leave the Eye Slugger to Leo before sacrificing himself in a suicide attack using Mac's, direct quote from the wiki, treasured missile.
Max treasured missile. What was I saying last week? Miss Super Aya is be like, the virtuous missiles, the missiles of God.
Yeah. And then third grade, the original story is continued to the end, and there's no saucer creatures. And then all the Ultra Brothers and Astra are wiped out, with leaving Leo and 7 at the end.
That's kind of cool.
Also, as you may expect, Mirrorman and Jumbo Ace also had similar treatments. In fact, twice, because both shows were originally pitched in 1969, and so they had like an early 1970s manga before like the actual shows aired, and had,
okay,
manga that more matched with their manga.
Okay,
just so you know, there's like weirdness going on. This is a weird period. Anyway, was there a name you noticed particular I drew attention to and also came up a bunch?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, the name I personally noticed was Ken Ishikawa because that's the Get a Robo guy. But yes, there was one name that you pointed out quite a little bit. I'm gonna guess that's the guy who did this manga that we're talking about today.
Yeah, Mamoru Uchiyama.
And I have some background on him if we want.
Oh, I mean, do you want to go? Because I have some stuff, but if you want to give something.
Sure. So the things that I discovered was that he came from a family of prestigious farmers, and he was supposed to be a farm boy when he was done with school. And then his sister sent in his drawings without his knowledge to Tatsunoko Production, and they called him back to be like, "Congrats, you have a job." And he went, "What? I do?"
It's like Emily Bronte.
Yes.
So he goes to work at Tatsunoko, and his parents are like, "Fine, you can do this for a couple years." His first manga he made was a Che Guevara, biography manga.
I didn't know this one.
Yeah. He then also began doing the manga adaptation of Jumborg Ace.
Yes, this was specifically the 1970 before the show existed adaptation. That was his first Super Raya manga. He was brought on for.
There is a point where his parents come to pick him up in the city, and they're like, "Son, it's time to become a farmer." And he went, "No, I have a career. Go away."
Oh, the real life Farashi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he stuck to drawing manga. I think after this, so obviously he did Ultraman stuff. I think after this one in particular, he did like a couple. I think he did like maybe a Melos manga or something. But then at some point he's like, I want to just draw people.
Yeah, he guess it's a sports manga, I think.
Yes, he specifically did a manga about a elementary school baseball player named like Little Giant Kun or something like that, which was pretty big and ran for I think like 10 years, and it was one of those things where it commonly brought in like real life baseball players and coaches and stuff like that as like guest characters, and was kind of about like growing up, but then also like, oh, what baseball figure are we gonna have in the manga this week sort of thing. And then after that, he was like, I kind of want to do stuff about older, like, people, just because, like, you can only do so much about, like, being an elementary school student. So he did stuff that I think was more, like, high school oriented about golf and baseball, but I think he also had, like, a kendo manga at some point. And then I also saw he just did some, like, relationship drama, like, type stuff. Particularly, he had a manga that was just titled I Hate Women, about a teenage misogynist who, through the love of friends and family, needs to learn to overcome his misogyny.
Another Subway Slammer.
A normal person. Yeah. And then I think he came back for some Ultraman stuff, then he passed away in 2011.
Yeah. I think he may have done, like, a Tiga thing, but, like, more specifically, is, like, he did some Mebius stuff. As a sort of like came back for that, and like as sort of as a final Ultraman contribution. Unfortunately, those are not translated.
Well,
but
I'm glad he got to have a decent career outside of Ultraman.
Yeah. I honestly kind of respect someone that does some shit for a while and then goes, I'm kind of tired of that. I want to do something different, and like just makes it work. That's
but also he's like sometimes he's willing to come back if it's like inspires him enough.
He just rotates out.
Yeah, and like he. Well, notably, he also did like a few like some of the other surprise stuff in the 70s as well. But like, he mostly switched to like sports stuff, like as Brad said, after the 70s, and then came back for like basically one last hurrah for Mebius in terms of like his Ultraman content. And you basically covered that section, so I don't have to. But enough about that. Let's go back to the 70s. Ultraman Leo has just finished, and so is Uchiyama's comic adaptations. As a follow-up, Uchiyama put out an original serialized stories in Third Grade magazine under the name Goodbye Ultra Brothers from April 1975 to March 1976. This was a sequel to specifically the second grade version, which meant that Dan was dead. Which I guess, kind of lines up with, like, ambiguity in the end of Leo itself. For some people in the audience. Like, obviously we know how Dan is around still, but... Yeah, and also like this part was like specifically the Jackal arc was the main manga that ran for this period, which is probably also why it's the longest of these. And then published for like a year until 1976. Then a couple years later, the story was reprinted in a newly launched Core comic, and now it's put under the name The Ultraman. And it became a big hit. And like it seems from what I gather, this was one of the contributing factors, the success of the manga, to like renewed interest in Ultraman and like creating groundswell for the anime to launch in the following year, which partially explains why it has a similar name.
Mm-hmm.
And Uchiyama would also, like after reprinting, would continue the series by writing more stories, and the series would continue to 1979. By the end, the series would have the following arcs: Jackal vs. Ultra Brothers, The Challenge of Young Fight Ultra Brothers, Great Operation on the Moon versus Vidar, Friendship is Forever, Taro and Elf, 12 Special Attack Units versus Anubis, and finally, Zoffi's Crisis versus Assassin. As Red alluded to, one thing Uchiyama was motivated to do when writing these comics was to put Zoffi in the spotlight, because he felt like, despite being the leader, of course,
my man,
quote unquote, of the Ultra Brothers, he's like never in the spotlight. So he's like, I want some Zoffi love. Let's see this guy. So he's been released in several collected volumes in Japan, which also include often chapters from his previous Ultraman manga. So a lot of the older collections are like, yeah, here's the Ultraman, but also interspersed are like, here's some of his Ace manga or his Taro manga. The popularity of the manga series would mean that it ended up having some influence in the franchise going forward. We'll probably see some of this stuff. We'll probably talk about it as it comes, because some stuff I don't necessarily know. But of course, again, as I said, helped lead to the revival of the franchise in the late 70s into the 80s with that third era, the Ultraman anime, followed up by the 80. But worth noting that anime does not have any plot connections to this manga. It's just like the shared name. And then you will see other influences in the future.
Cool.
Incidentally, once the manga concluded, there was a Kokoro would publish a sort of spiritual successor series, technically beginning and running concurrently, called Ultra Brother Story by Kataoka Tetsuji. It's not translated, but it seems to go even more in on sort of the space opera stuff, because that was definitely in vogue by this point in the late 70s. It also allows me to do two things. One, that other manga has provided this fun image of Shin Man getting shit-faced.
What? How did he drink? What?
He's depressed. He couldn't save someone, and so he's drowning in his sorrows.
He can drink? How much alcohol is that? It's such a huge cup. What kind of alcohol do the Ultramen drink?
No, it's ultra alcohol.
Ultra alcohol. Of course.
Ultra hops.
Ultra hops.
And second, I can now pull up an old email sent by Jessica from September 30th, 2024, from one of our early episodes.
Oh my god. Okay.
Where this was about the death of Pochi and Ultra Clothes. I think this is the one where we talked about skin and flesh.
Oh, I see.
I think this was the first email that introduced this to us, funny enough. But the last paragraph is I will just read what she says here. As one last treat, I will introduce you to another dubiously canon Ultra family relative. In this case, father of Ultra's evil brother, Ultraman Jack. He tried to take over the universe until Seven killed him, apparently. There's hardly any English info on this guy, or the manga he comes from, so it's hard to say much about him. Also, I made this is the part where she showed the Ultra family tree. Mm-hmm. But yeah, here's Ultraman Jack. The only Ultraman with that name, and definitely where the reason you heard that name before. The evil Ultraman who is evil.
Are we still doing that today?
Well, that was.
I just.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Do not consider any revisionist translations in this.
I see.
I was about to say.
I see. I understand. Shin Man.
Yeah, Shin Man.
Yeah, this Ultraman Jack fella, is jacked.
Yes.
2 has big horns. 3 is wearing boots.
Yeah. As we have seen, the degree to which they embellish the degree to which Ultras are wearing clothing is inconsistent.
Maybe he just has a condition where his leg skin is constantly
I'm
peeling
so
off.
I'm so sorry for noticing. I'm so sorry for pointing that out and jeering in a crowd and gesturing, and going, wow, it's like it looks like he's got boots.
If we're going for the red is flesh one, then we see like he's free on the entire bottom.
Ah, of course.
Yeah,
it's the only way to live.
Anyway, in 2015, an animated short adapting sort of like condensed, we shall say, adaptation of versus Jackal was made for the Japan Animator Expo, and we will also be talking about that today. I don't know if we necessarily need to discuss it separately.
Quote, talking.
Yeah,
it will come up.
We can talk about it, but it'll probably just be like
it's well animated. It's very well animated fights. But it is just
it makes it easier for you to pick the YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah,
nothing like different new original here. But first, we should talk about the manga itself. We specifically have read the officially licensed Viz Comics English translation published in 1994 under the name Ultraman Classic by the Ultra Brothers. Compared to the Japanese release, this English release swaps the order of the Moon Operation and Fight Ultra Brothers chapters, as well as sort of splitting up the Jackal arc and I think Fight Ultra Brothers into smaller subchapters, which is, doesn't actually matter in the grand scheme of things. It's just like, oh, hey, this is a neat administrative.
That is interesting, because one of my complaints is about the order of things. So
can you quickly elaborate? What is the actual original order of stories?
So, first one is Jackal. That's all. Okay. All of that's at the front.
Yeah.
Then after that is Fightus.
Yes. Yeah.
Then
that's the same.
In the original one, the story had third and the story had fourth were swapped.
Okay. So
and then the last story.
The third one and the fourth one are really kind of. Are they kind of similar, or am I imagining things?
No, they are. They're very similar.
Yeah.
One of them's about robots attacking Earth, and the other one is about
pirates.
Pirates attacking Earth. Right,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Also, more importantly, this release omits two of the aforementioned stories of the original Japanese release altogether. Those being Versus Anubis and Taro and Elf, Friendship is Forever.
I was gonna say, you mentioned both of those, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. One of these, which is Anubis, I can find basically zero info on even at Japanese internet. And when I skim the raws, it's like, oh yeah, there's it's another story. The Ultra Brothers doing an operation against some wolf guys. I think the most notable thing about it is I saw an image of Ultraman King getting shredded by a machine gun.
Hell yeah.
Anyway. I might post in that chat after I'm done when I can search for it. But yeah, that's basically the only thing about it. The more actually notable one, presumably for maybe tickle people's brain, was the Taro and Elf one. And there's a lot more information about summaries of that online on Japanese, and so I have at the end of this, I'll give a short summary of that, just because I'm like, well, this is a thing we should probably talk about if it's going to be it's probably one of the things that maybe more people are going to care about in the franchise going forward than
okay,
the Anubis thing. So it's worth at least earmarking in case it comes up again. But yeah, that's basically my production stuff.
Okay, well, summaries are going to be easy.
Yeah.
Because
as we established, this is a manga for tiny children.
All I had to do was remember the order of the events, and also remember that there was a third and fourth one, and that they were different. So, first one is an evil guy called Jackal. So all the Ultra Brothers are getting assassinated one by one seemingly by their greatest foes from
I think it's
from their TV shows.
Worth noting that Seven doesn't show up because presumably he's dead at this point.
Oh, presumably. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know what? It's weird. If Seven doesn't show up, I thought Seven does.
He does at the end.
Okay, at the end. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. It's then revealed that actually, after all the Ultra Brothers are dead except Zophie, it's revealed that actually, it's Jackal. It's a guy who can shapeshift, and he was imprisoned in a black hole by Ultraman King. And now he's back for revenge. He destroys, most of the Ultra Society. Zophy escapes with the Mother of Ultra and another 28 Ultramen. They flee
and the Ultra Key.
And
Yes.
the Ultra Key, which he doesn't use in
No.
the manga. I was so disappointed. I was like,
Also, does this count?
come on,
Does this
Zophy.
Ultraman destruction count as a genocide?
Ooh. Yeah, I guess, but it's not. Here's the thing: it's not committed by the heroes, and so it almost doesn't warrant pressing the button. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same on that front.
Okay. Maybe we can count it as
it's
we count it as
real.
a number at least in terms of
Oh yeah, we can count it in the number, but I really think pressing the
'Cause remember,
button and getting the soundbite is really for when our heroes who have come to save the day destroy an alien species.
the exception being when unlimited genocide
The
in the
exception
first
being
world.
when it's a deliberate criticism of the show. Yes.
No, I just meant unlimited genocide in the first world. In the final episode of
yes.
Ultraman.
Oh yeah. There's that one. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah.
We have Zophy. They escaped to Earth. They're hiding out on Earth. And then Melos arrives. And it's like, who is this guy? This is like a
He's
weird.
the coolest guy ever.
Coolest guy ever. He's got the biggest dick. He's got special armor that nothing can penetrate.
Apparently, it's called the Tector armor.
Yeah, and then he undoes the armor at one point to reveal that he is an Ultraman. He's an Ultra being from the Andromeda Galaxy. They have Ultramen over there. And he defeats.
That's
a
why
bunch
he's
of
always
people.
like Andro something, not other than his moves.
Yeah, so Andarang. He's
Andro Melis Beam.
Yeah, he defeats a bunch of people, and Zophy's like, we have to team up and go to space and defeat Jackal, and he's like, heh, I don't need your help, Zophy, and he heads off into space, and unfortunately he does need Zophy's help. He's getting owned a little bit. He gets some Ultramen. He gets 3 Ultramen killed, and when Zophy's like, you got 3 Ultramen killed, Melos says with a smile, allow me to take their place in your... I'm like, you wipe that smile off your face. And they head up to Planet
Unfortunately,
Jackal.
the armor just smiles all the time.
Yeah, the armor just smiles all the time. He can't turn that off. They head up to Planet Jackal. They fight their way into the throne room. They trigger a trap, and there's a black hole underneath. And then Melos duels Jackal one-on-one and beats Jackal. But then Jackal's like, "Oh, mercy! You couldn't possibly hurt an unarmed foe." And Melos is like, he's got me there. And then Jackal springs up and grabs the thing on his wrist that turns off the armor and releases Melos's armor, and then he defeats Melos, no problem. And but Zophy has returned, and he wears Melos's armor, and it's a trick. It's a trick against Jackal, and he does an M87 beam, and then he's like, the Ultra Brothers are being revived right now, and they're being revived, and they defeat Jackal. The end.
Yeah.
That is the end of that story. The next story is, I'm just gonna go through. I'm just gonna really speed through. Do I just speed through all of them, or do we talk about them one by one? I don't know. We might be here forever if we talk about them one by one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like the first one most meaty.
Yeah, okay.
Most of them are...
We'll talk about the first one for a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Yeah, this one is like
Tector armor.
Yeah.
Well,
put it up in
sorry,
Okay.
I should say I do want to talk about the others because I feel like I can't talk about this one without talking about how weird it is. I feel like the others exist.
Okay, I see.
Does maybe the production stuff elucidate some questions you may have had?
Some of it I do. Even with that is there's some creative stuff, but I guess the second one is about.
It is weird that it feels like the main plot happens and then the rest of it is just bit stuff.
Well,
yes,
because what happened is he published a coherent story and then it ended, and they reprinted it later, and he's decided I'm gonna make a continuation, which is just like a bunch of one-offs, and some of them are the same thing.
So the next one is about how Ultra 7 is the coolest guy, and I'm like, that's true.
He's right.
That's true. They're like, there's a guy called Fight. His name's Fight Ass, which is like the worst name that anyone's ever had. And he's Melos's brother, but he doesn't reveal this at first. And he's like, Ultra 7, I'm gonna challenge you because you're number one, and I want to be number one. And Ultra 7 is like, I know, if we fight, one of us will die. I know this. And he's like, Fight Ass works with the Jackal guys to kidnap the mother of Ultra. And to lure Ultra 7 into a fight. Ultra 7 gets to where they've got the mother of Ultra held hostage, and Fight Ass is there and is like, let's deal with Jackal, Ultra 7. And so they deal with Jackal, and then Fight Ass is like, Ultra 7, fight me. And with everyone watching, because Fight Ass has a sword and Ultra 7 uses the Ice Slugger, and they have a quick duel, and the Ice Slugger breaks, and then Fight Ass falls down dead, and Ultra 7 is like, damn, I am number one, but what good is that? And I'm like, I bet power scalers love this.
Oh, 100%.
Adding power scaling to your Ultraman.
But like not like power scaling where like the power scalers are into, where they're like watching the shows and like being like, well, this guy is this type, can do this and that, and it's just a manga that just says Ultra 7 is the best. Well, what do you mean by that? I just mean he's number one.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
worth noting that Fighter spends the entire thing in armor.
He does. We never get to see his inner form.
Yeah. I see this image. I see this image from like a presumably untranslated thing of like his design from somewhere.
I see.
So I guess this is what he looks like. But it was definitely like this is the later thing that they gave a design to him for some reason later. So just
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the other arcs are barely even worth talking about because it's like pirates attack and they deal with it.
Here we go. Quick fire. Robots attack Earth. We build a fortress on the moon. We fight the robots. We win. Pirates are here, and they're on their way to Earth, and they capture an ultra battleship and blow up some frigates, and they're taking that battleship to Earth, and Zoffy and Ultra 7 have to fight from inside the battleship to recapture the bridge, and then they destroy the big skull spaceship, and we win. And then I would
have definitely cut the robot one, because I think like this paragraph at least has a bit going on with the bridge invasion stuff. But,
and then this last part, alien assassin is being sent to assassinate Zoffy, and seems like it's gonna be hard to take alien assassin down. And then I think is it Ace that figures out what the deal is, or
I think Ace does, but Taro, while blinded, is the one who does the.
Taro, while blinded, picks up the sword, and the sword is the only thing.
As like Ace is like to the left a little bit.
Yes. Assassin's sword is the only thing that can hurt Assassin, and he cuts Assassin in half, and Assassin is dead, and the day is saved, and then the manga is over.
My enemy servant's weakness in the Grail War.
Yeah, I will say I was not expecting it to just end there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Done.
We're done.
It's funny enough, this is like the last one he did too, so it's like not even like this is a weird thing. But I guess the adventure continues for the Ultra Brothers because they kept making more show eventually.
Yeah. That's the manga.
Sure is.
So I like one of these arcs.
Do you mean the first one?
I think the first one's pretty good. I think the second one with Fidus is all right, and then past that, I'm just like, what are we doing?
I do think I think there's like fun observations I have with the robot one and like the moon one where I'm like, I think it's funny that they have a guy in the Earth military on standby who can read the ultra signs.
Yes.
After I had, because my feelings
Also,
about
I will say there's a bunch of guys who are like, oh, these are like the father in Ultraman Rising, where they just got facial hair.
I think
well,
go for it.
I think the last thing I want to say, just because I figured we're not going to talk about those ones so much, is just like the people of Earth seeing the Ultra Battleship and going, oh yeah, it's the Ultra Battleship, the thing we somehow all know about on Earth.
Yes. Oh, here's the thing. There aren't any people on Earth. There are only Ultra fans. There are just people there to exist to go, where are the Ultramen? Except for who? Sorry?
People in Thailand, because they've never seen Ultra before.
Oh, that's true. Never.
As we've established.
Yeah.
Anyway, I found it. Here's the fucking page of Father Ultra getting shredded by the machine gun and the chapter we didn't get.
Okay. This is so cool.
Yeah. Like, presumably the plot of that is as provoked as some of the other ones, but this visual is cool.
So here's my thing about, because the first bit of this is probably the best bit of it. But here's my thing about it, is I've read I read the first part of Get a Robo, and I could go back and just read the rest of Get a Robo. I don't really, like I could read What If This, but it went hard at any time. What if this, and also the characters weren't like Boy Scout losers?
Yeah.
In the way that the Ultramen are.
Yeah.
I can't tell how much of this is in the translation and how much of this is just true to form of the manga.
Yeah.
This is the most Western comic reading feeling manga I've ever experienced in my life.
Worth mentioning, it is a 90s translation, so there definitely has to be part of it.
So there is that,
what I was feeling.
But also it's from the era where, like, we're not, manga is manga, but like it's comics. It's doing comic stuff. Like, this is superhero comics. This is
this felt like me reading Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah,
even what it was reminding me of.
Even outside of like translation things, I think like the plotting and everything feel almost exactly like, I can't remember what era this was, but I had a big book collection of old school Justice League stories.
Yeah.
And this feels a lot like that in many ways. Now, arguably, those comics were better than this. This feels like very like of its era in terms of, because I mentioned, I think before we turned any microphones on, I also read the Giant Robo manga, and that again is like very like, I just think that, like, there's an era of manga here where it doesn't have like it almost feels incoherent in pacing, like the Giant Robo
classic Devil Man.
Yeah, the Giant Robo manga is 3 volumes. Those volumes are long, but the first 2 volumes are like, the same story, and then the 3rd volume is like a complete tone shift as everything goes underwater. And we lose out on, the main identifying feature of the Giant Robo manga, which is cool noir guys gunning each other down in alleys. Which is, if that surprises you that that's the Giant Robo vibe, I think you should read the Giant Robo manga. Yeah. It's good.
We were talking about Giant Robo before we hit record.
Yeah, it is nothing like presumably the Toku show, and also nothing like that OVA.
Yeah.
This very much reminded me of other comics that I'd read and other manga that I'd read, but a little bit with the gloves firmly on. It's not like, I mean, this page goes harder than the rest of this manga, in my opinion. The one of Ultraman King getting gunned down.
Yeah,
is sick, but I'm like,
I'm kind of like, I wish we got a translation of this chapter than like the fucking robot guys. Where Ace and Taro have to get paid time off to go investigate.
I don't know what's going on in the Land of Light. What is happening in the Land of Light?
The picture of the Ultra World is so interesting. It's really funny.
You know what? We should let's right. So the Land of Light, as far as I can tell, is a military base. They don't. There's nothing. There's nothing else there. There is a suggestion that there are schools, but like, as far as I can tell,
I've seen it in school buses.
Yeah,
there's an ultra cop telling people not to fly in city limits.
Yeah,
that was really funny. But like the main export of the Land of Light is martial prowess.
Yes.
This does not seem like much of a utopia.
No.
Yeah, they are. The Ultras are the galactic police, like America, who also, as angels, have a special relationship with humanity.
Yeah.
And also are a Spartan society by being highly militarized.
Yes.
And they keep bringing up, and I don't know, again, if this is a translation thing or if even this is a thing we've heard about from the shows before. I don't think it is. They keep talking about the Ultra Creator. I
don't know what the deal with that
I
is.
suspect
I
suspect this is a translation thing where they're
you can't say God.
Yeah, you can't say God. They're inventing like cute little exclamations. So you could theoretically replace all of those things with by the creator with Jesus Christ, and it has the same functionality.
Fuck you, Sasuke.
Fuck you, Sasuke.
Yeah.
Ore.
Also, the U.S. also has a special little puppets who it gives everything to. Somebody that's also the relationship role Earth has in this universe. And maybe everyone hates Earth for a reason.
It's so funny that, like, we've gone from the shows being like, oh, nobody knows who Ultraman is, to, oh, there's Ultraman merchandise, to, oh, there are government authority figures that have direct communication with the Land of Light and are, like, cool with them.
and then next week, an alien will appear and someone will be like, aliens aren't real.
Are you stupid?
Yeah.
And they will have, it will be their job to investigate alien sightings. They will still say it.
Do you think it's one of those things where as soon as aliens show up, it becomes such an easy "the dog ate my homework" type excuse that like people just roll back around to being sick of it?
People don't take aliens seriously, not because aliens are don't exist, but because aliens are so common that it's like, come on, bro. You're not late for work because a UFO landed on the road. Come on.
Me losing the tournament. Ah, fuck. Alien input delay. Son of a bitch.
Unfortunately, the stray photon from that time that Zoffy fired the M78 beam on the moon did fuck with my ROM, so I couldn't complete the speedrun.
Yeah. I did not have a modded version of Minecraft. It's actually just, the aliens from space interfering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this first part with the what?
Jack.
Oh, City is today. Sorry, I just pulled up Blue Sky and just saw someone post a screenshot from City. I think the first episode of City might be out. Well, that's what I'm doing after this podcast.
I have not finished watching Nichijou like I planned.
That's a good show.
It is a good show.
So yeah, the first part of this manga, we've got like the most OC to ever OC. Is just
the impression I got from like my Ultra friends is that he's a guy who's well liked, and then I got to him, I'm like, okay. I guess if you are 6 years old reading Ultraman in the 70s, he is the coolest guy ever. I guess
I was describing, because like I was talking about this with some friends last night, and I was like, imagine if someone hired me to write a Superman comic, and then halfway through, half the Justice League die, and then I come in with a guy named Doug who just solves the problems really good, and Superman's in the background going like, wow, Doug, you're so fucking cool.
But they have some friction because Doug is just too.
He's
works
it's
alone.
one of those. It's such a cheap flaw to give it. It's like, he's too
arrogant.
He's so cool that he buys his own hype, and it's like, you simply you have to be more humble about how cool you are.
It is funny that this happens, like, we're at the time where, like, the Ultras are pretending to be guys on Earth, and Zoffy's like, no, we can't save the humans being enslaved and killed, or else we'll be, we gotta be convert.
We have to wait for the
I
right
want
time.
everyone just to know, this is completely unrelated to anything, that my neighbor across the street is shirtless, standing on his balcony, just staring into my window.
What?
I don't know how
weird.
to feel about this.
Can you
I'm gonna
close your
I'm
blinds?
closing my blinds.
Yeah.
Like, he is staring directly at me. This is really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he's an alien.
Yeah, an alien neighbor. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what Ultras are.
It's also I need to also clarify. It is cloudy and raining right now. I don't know what he's doing.
Okay.
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 Okay. Alien neighbors up to some weird shit. There's,
Yeah,
hey. Remember what we learned from Ultra 7? Your
Yeah.
neighbor could be an alien.
True.
You have to mistrust him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also funny that, like, when you're making the big cool fuck off OC, you also give him, like, a samurai armor.
Yeah, you give him special armor that means he doesn't have to look like the other dork Ultraman.
Yeah.
He can have a rad look, actually. He can
He's got,
look
like,
cool
the-
instead.
Yeah.
With
He's got his two
with his plume.
boomerangs and his shoulder ultra mellows beam or whatever.
Yeah. He's got laser cannons that come out of his spring from his shoulders.
Yeah. I based the podcast art for this episode on, like, the helmet, just for because I was like, fucking no one else is gonna do.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is like, I don't care. I'm like, who? This is a Zoffy story to me. Thank you. I'm good.
Yeah.
We do get the cool moment. Here's the thing: we do get the cool moment of Zoffy in the armor. I do think that's good.
In the what? You just cough for a second.
Oh, Zoffy in Melos's armor. I think that's good.
Yes.
I like that moment when he says, "Oh, the M87 beam," and Jackal's like, "Huh? Wait, Zoffy?" And I don't really know why that works against Jackal. It doesn't actually seem to. It's actually the resurrection of the Ultraman that works, but it's a cool moment anyway. So who cares?
Yeah. The hype and aura moment, singular.
The hype and aura moment. It's also just it's of this era of manga where it's just paced. It's of this period and style of manga, to be specific, where it's just paced really fast, and we are not slowing down to do anything like other than just we're just it feels like a compilation, right? Is what often like you get like Go Nagai manga from like where it just feels like this is a compilation of some other story. And it's like, nope, this is the original. This is just all of it.
Yeah, I was thinking of my experience with Devilman quite a lot. Because like that is the one thing where like I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes like early DC Marvel stuff does kind of feel this way too, just because like page count limits. But like I was thinking like we do kind of have the Go Nagai thing of like a very fast setup of threat. Action beat, we're dealing with it. Maybe a few panels of feeling sad. Next story, action beats. Like it's very breakneck paced.
Yeah. Presumably, like, I don't know if they would have been able to get like a full half out, maybe like 40 minutes the most out of like a proper full adaptation of this. But I think like the adaptation we do, quote unquote adaptation we do get as like the short that's like 9 minutes is decent enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that short is like well animated. Certainly, like I would not say that like the action in this manga is necessarily like really good or anything. I think it's like it sometimes pulls out the stops. I think I actually think that the way they beat the pirates with the shot into the huge eye,
Yes,
and then like
cool.
the full page wait until it explodes. I think that's pretty cool. But I think otherwise mostly the action in this manga is kind of whatever.
I do think there's at least enough that makes you go, well, it is neat to see ultras in a non-toku medium where they aren't like limited as much.
See, the thing that's a bummer for me is that they're not as limited as much. They're still just shooting beams.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm kind of growing to the Jisoji thing where I'm like, I kind of feel like it's just not very exciting.
This is why Ultra 7's number one.
Jisoji might have
the Ice Slugger is just cooler than everything else.
I would like to believe that Jisoji would have cooked with Leo.
Between this and our new show, I am growing to be a believer that if an Ultra is going to have a weapon, it should be a knife-like object.
Yes.
Because you can hide that you can kind of hide how toyetic it is and how much is there to merchandise a little bit better, I feel, while still doing cool knife fight shit.
Well, I see some of us have already watched the first episode of Omega. We didn't wait until next week.
I mean, I don't know.
Same. I was just like, I'm gonna check out this first episode.
I was like, I might as well.
I'm ever since that episode where he like slashed that kaiju's throat with the Ice Slugger, I've been Ice Slugger.
Yeah. It is cool.
Yeah.
My big problem with this manga, and like it does make sense considering what you said about like there was the Jackal stuff and then they made more later.
Yeah.
Is I read this and finished this and I went, this story feels like it's paced in reverse. Like I would have I would have preferred all like the pirate and like robot stuff and like Seven being assassinated up front and then escalate to Jackal. Yeah. And with that in mind, I feel like you gotta just start topping Jackal. You can't just have these kind of like loser threats after you do the big Jackal story.
Mm-hmm. You mean like when Ace killed peters out? Cool.
A little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, see, the problem is I feel like the threats just keep getting smaller scale.
Yeah.
Because, like, then we end with, like, oh, Seven's in danger. And it's like, at the start of this, all but 28 Ultras died. Yeah. It's so odd.
It's such a big
and
thing.
meanwhile, there's, like, one guy who's like, very specifically, we're killing Zoffy.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know, it is what it is, but it just feels kind of off, like you get the first part, you get the 7-1, and then the rest of it kind of feels extraneous.
Yeah. I do think it's funny how the narration clarifies that the planet that the Jackals are on is not their home planet. It's just one a planet they took over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is only in the story, so kids don't ask how come they don't blow it up with the Ultra Key then.
Yeah. You know? Like, Zoffy takes the key with him, but doesn't, you know...
I'm a little sad that Chekhov's gun was not fired.
No, Chekhov's Death Star laser key was not fired in this manga.
It's like when people say Araki forgot, and he's like, Uchiyama forgot about the key, and said it was like, well, the Melos is the Melos armor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Melos is supposed to like be based on like the classic like Japanese retelling of the Greek myth thing, right?
I have no idea. I'm legitimately.
I have literally no idea.
Okay, because like Melos is like a thing. Like
there's the island.
Blue Comet SVT. Blue Comet SVT Lasner. Like the song is like "Lonely Way Run Melos," and it's like based off of a famous. Yeah, I'm looking it up. It's an Osamu Dazai story that was a retelling of like a German ballad which is based on an ancient Greek legend, and like I know it's like a big thing in like it's a thing that everyone kind of reads in Japanese schools from what I gather. Like it's one of those.
Okay.
So like whenever I see the name Melos, I'm like, I'm sure it's probably, and like considering his armor design is kind of like going for that like Greco-Roman thing, I think.
It feels like Greco-Roman but also like a samurai armor. I guess
kinda, yeah. So I was like, maybe that's where that's coming from a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm reading a little bit about this. I would guess that yes, this has some crossover because, like, you know, read in schools. I didn't. Yeah, I did not know this. That's cool.
It's one of those things where when you learn about it and you see that name or like things similar, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's how every time now, and I just had this because I just rewatched Gunbuster. Every time someone says Rip Van Winkle in a Japanese thing and it's subtitled as Rip Van Winkle, I listen to the audio and that's not what they're saying. They're talking about the other guy, about the Taro legend.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 9-inch samurai or something.
Yeah.
Or
not that, the one with the guy with the box that opens up and he turns old. That one.
Oh yes. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well.
I'm trying to think of what else to. I think Fidus is like kind of cool. He also is not around. I mean, nobody really is around. The characters are not what you're coming here for.
No.
But like
he's like a guy who shows up in armor, not even as an Ultra, and then dies.
Yeah.
And then and then Mello stares in space like, oh, there's one more Ultra who becomes a star in the sky, and like, does he?
I don't know how much of this is because this is a comic for tiny children versus just like me going, oh no, but I did have a feeling towards the middle part of this manga where I'm like, the Ultraman ass characters.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We get to know them in human form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their human components as like the actual characters, and then the Ultraman is the thing they turn into to fight.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't have that human form anymore,
There's no character.
there's no character. The only thing we have to go off of is, oh, this guy can do this move, and that guy has that thing. And I went, oh no.
What if every character was just Warrior of Justice?
I like there's one page I posted where I made the joke about like Shin Man. But like there is a, let me get it. I like the page where like Shin Man's been offed and like Ace says he's gonna go get it, and it's like the most cocky, you're gonna get your shit kicked at you rocked attitude ever. I'm like, oh, I love this Rokudo. This is exactly what you do.
Oh yeah. It's like the most they've got is the Ace and Taro are youthful compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
That's kind of everything they have. But yes, I do like they are. I feel like this manga is indecisive on who gets human-ish features and who doesn't, or when they get human like when their faces become expressive or not. I think like
I'm happy this is something we still have not really settled on from the. This is a question we've been asking since kind of day one of Ultraman, right?
Yeah. Because sometimes the mouth opens and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. So, like, Leo is constantly getting, like, mouth open for speaking. And I'm like, how does your face do that? No one else's does. What's happening here?
Hey, Brad, how do you like that the only two, the one time Astro shows up, he blows up?
I thought that was pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. I do love that because of how the suits look, they are just stuck with, like, Seven and Taro constantly, like, kind of looking cross-eyed like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because they've actually got pupils.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you said, we mostly got, like, who can do what move. And we got some details there about who has the most powerful beams. Ace...
Yeah, we do have power scaling sauce here,
When
actually.
Ace does the, like, unified beam... from the Ace Killer episode, that's one of the most powerful. That's up there with the M87, which is Zoffy's beam, and someone else's. I don't know.
I think there's one where it's like, I can't do this. I'm gonna blow up the moon if I do this beam, and then they do it anyway.
Yes, that is Zoffy's beam. Oh, they all make a pyramid to give him energy so that he can shoot the beam at all the robots.
Yeah. And you know the Robot King is just like a generic, I'm going to take over the world. Also, look at a pharaoh for some reason.
With big gnashing teeth.
I like, this is probably just like, maybe there's a translation thing. But like when they introduced the pirate guys, they're like, oh man, these are the dreaded
always...
Buccaneers. No one is the pirates. And like one guy's like, well, I'm glad they have an original name.
Yeah, and they're constantly yelling pirates, except for their leader, who's like, why you stop yelling pirates? Be normal.
Except then he starts doing it too.
Oh, yeah.
They only do this
which
when they're
is a good
scared.
bit.
This is all absolutely invented in the translation, but like, frankly, you have to, because there's nothing here.
Yeah.
You have to be inventing some bits to keep people's attention.
When the first, like, 10 pages of this was, oh no, all of the monsters are killing their... Like, all of the old monsters are showing up and killing their Ultraman enemy, I was like, oh no. And then as soon as it's revealed, it's like, okay, it's one guy, like, Jackal actually gets formally introduced. I'm like, okay, thank God, because I think
it's funny that the guy who kills Taro is Burdon.
I mean, he was a vicious
He was the guy who did it, but it is funny that, like, everyone's like their final boss, and this guy's like, the fucking bird. I like that the Moon Operation 1 opens with a Aobaoku being blown up.
It does.
Before Gundam happens.
That one guy with the mustache being like, we don't have to move the fortress, and then everyone else being like, but sir, surely we have to move. They can't... Listen. They can't break out of their hierarchies. Yeah. Even in the Ultra Society, we need to send Nathan Fielder up there.
I think there's a guy called Zolby who's like from Andromeda. He's like, nah, it's probably a malfunction.
Yeah.
Zolby.
I feel like Zolby.
It kind of fucked me up seeing Ultraman King and the Father of Ultra side by side. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it's finally like the division between the two finally solidified in your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I still feel like you two are kind of the same guy, but also you're not.
There's the moon one also has the 200 Ultra Ninja Squad.
This can't be ninja in the original translation.
Who knows?
In the original Japanese, these can't be ninjas. They have to be engineers or something. They're there to build a base. What do they have to do with ninjas? What does ninjutsu have to do with building a moon base and firing laser cannons? What now? The assassin towards the end when they're like, "Oh, the assassin is a ninja," and I'm like, you can't just keep making up ninjas. But then that guy really was a ninja. That guy was a ninja. But those Ultramen, they weren't ninjas.
Yeah,
I'm not having this.
Yeah, there's a part I made note of where Zoffi's like, yeah, I don't know if this battleship plan will work. What's the best we got? And then Seven's like, yeah, bow to your wisdom, Zoffi.
I can't believe this is like maybe the second or third time we've seen the Ultra Mother and she gets damseled.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a moment where Ultra 7
did not take long.
Ultra 7 admonishes the Jackals for being like, how dare you take defenseless women? I'm like, they're super beings.
She's like a goddess. Yeah.
Also, Mother also comes with whenever like there's a few times where like the Ultras are like injured and like the fleet of Ultra Women come as nurses to take them away to recuperate.
It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. They can shoot spacium beams. I watched them do it in this manga for one bit. They just don't do it. They could if they wanted to.
I love how Shoji Atomo brain this is, where it's like, oh yeah, you have to use a specific beam that Zoffi uses.
Yes.
I rag on Star Wars for being like this, but when people try to do it with Ultra, it's like even stupid. Like, come on.
Well, like there's so little to extrapolate.
Yeah, at least with Star Wars, there's like books about like. Just way too much detail to fill in.
Also, it's like Star Wars is like sci-fi ripping off like every other sci-fi thing, and as a result, you've got this really eclectic setting. Whereas here, it's just what if 7 guys were the monster of the week superhero who has a beam that is the final move in the fight. And now we're going to give all those different beams a name and try to come up with different effects that they can do. And this, this one's weak to ice, and this one has the most powerful beam, but only if like he
this one has a giant
combines with everyone else. And it's just like, this is just fake. This is just, you have
Why
to stop.
does everyone care about how many tons each of these motherfuckers is?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, maybe for some people,
Wow.
I
Okay.
suppose.
Yeah, it's very strange because it's like I see how this comes out of like the gap between Leo and more Ultraman.
I do have a question about this Shin Man stats page here.
Yeah.
Where it says, can leap 8,000 meters. He can fly.
Oh, flying, leaping, different things.
Right,
Omega.
but I true. But like, he can leap infinity.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I don't know.
Sometimes you gotta jump instead of fly.
I do like the fact that none of these guys have fought any monsters since the end of their show. Every single stat page says, even
when they have, and we've seen it with our eyeballs.
Even when we've seen it happen with our eyes, the stat block says that the last monster that the original Ultraman fought was Zeton.
I need to write a manga to explain that those were actually like doppelgangers or clones from the Land of Light.
I see.
Thus making this manga correct retroactively.
Now we're thinking with Star Wars novel brain.
Yeah.
Who was Sifo Dyas?
His name is Ultraman, but with 2 U's in the front because they call him.
Luke Skywalker.
You know what, Ultraman?
I can't believe people told me those books were like clever. Anyway,
like that's at least with the nobody stuff in Kingdom Hearts, they shuffle the names around.
My favorite dumb Star Wars lore thing is the stupid Skippy comic, which is actually made to be a joke parody thing. I think taking the piss out of how dumb Star Wars can be, but it is an official comic where that droid that the Skywalker family first purchases.
Yes, I've heard about this.
And then they get R2-D2. But someone made a comic about how that droid was actually a Jedi and was like, I need to die so that R2-D2 can get in the hands of the Skywalker family.
Yes.
And the message can be received, so he kills himself.
I can't watch the original Star Wars anymore without thinking about this when that moment happens. I can't stop. If I ever watch that movie with someone, I have to lean over and go, that guy's a hero.
That's Skippy.
I didn't know his name, but that guy's
his
guy's
name
a
is
hero.
Skippy.
You know that guy committed suicide just there so that R2-D2 could fulfill his destiny.
I do think, though, one of my takeaways from this, they really need to do something to differentiate these fuckers.
Yeah.
Because, like, someone needs to become a Qui-Gon. Like, someone needs to become, like, the bad boy that, like, doesn't play by the rules. And, like, too many of them are just hero guy.
You know what? The Star Wars prequels do this a little bit because Yoda and Mace Windu and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are all different guys. And they're all theoretically the hero, the heroes of justice.
It's like each Ultraman's allowed to be a different guy when they're the protagonist of the show, and then they kind of sand off the unique features when they're removed from the show, and it's kind of like a big crossover thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate, too, because this can't lean into the good part of live action, which is the human performance.
Right,
that gives a lot of that character and informs that.
Like,
which I will say, I did kind of have the realization watching the animated short in particular, where I'm like, I just think this stuff is so much cooler when it gets to be animated. I do love the practical effects, and I love the fighting in the rubber suits, but holy shit. I think deep down I am just an animation guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like
Toku.
Things you can do in animation, and that's why I do hope we can like get that show subbed at some point. Work in progress. But yeah, it's like, I like Toku, and I like seeing special effects, but also it's like cool to have more animation as alternative. It's like I wouldn't want like Ultraman to be only animation, but it'd be cool to see more animation, just to like see what else they can do.
You can just do different stuff, or you can go wilder with it.
Play to each strengths, kind of thing.
Like, I will say, I was happy so much of this to take place in space, because if they had to make this as a set, a lot of it would probably not, like, it'd be too hard, or like, they'd have to cut corners somewhere.
Yeah, that's
why they do some of that
I appreciate
stuff.
them using the medium of comics to actually spend more time in space and do space stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate
which is the thing I'd hope that an anime would do more of. So
it was interesting because, like, the comic stuff, I was like, I'm happy setting wise we're expanding beyond Earth with that. I wish the action went a little bit more into stuff you couldn't easily as do in live action.
I like when the space battleships showed up. I was like, hell yeah, the Ultramen have battleships. God, they're guardians of peace, you know.
Of course.
They need those battleships. That
Zoffy with the mission accomplished banner behind him.
Yes. Oh, fuck. Yes. Need that image immediately. Man. Ultraman's Ultraman.
There's a point where Zoffy says, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes."
Yes.
And starts talking about the ultra artillery guns.
Yeah, on the moon base.
Yeah, on the moon base. that the ninjas are operating.
Yeah.
Frankly, they should have replaced the robots with the pirates and had, like, one team who was building the ultra moon base while the other was having their ship hijacked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that would be too messy of a story, but also I'm like,
I mean, it doesn't, surely a small child can handle a story slightly more complicated than this. Anyway.
Yeah.
Do we have much more to say about the manga?
Final thoughts?
I have some trivia stuff, so yeah, like final stuff to say, we may as well.
I guess I'd say I enjoyed this more than I thought I would, based on the first few pages.
Yeah.
I still think, like, you really only need the Jackal stuff.
I definitely get the impression, like, the Jackal stuff, the stuff that lives in the cultural memory most.
Yeah.
Like, there may be stuff later on there may be other stuff that gets drawn as inspiration that we'll see as it comes, but, like, definitely, like, the Jackal stuff's, like, it's the thing that got the animated short after all, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It did also fill me kind of with the sense of despair as the more I complain about Ultraman just kind of becoming a Western superhero thing. That's all this is. This could have been a DC comic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah,
but
like,
it's
obviously
it's
we don't usually look at print stuff. And most of it's not translated, but because this has had an English translation, I was told it was influential and had an impact on the franchise. Like, well, we should put it in somewhere. So.
It's a nice break. Because, like I say, short. These are short volumes.
Yeah.
These are 60 pages.
Like, it's a quick read.
Like, we were talking about, like, how because we did Golden Kamuy, we miscalibrated how long it'd take us to read these 5 volumes when the volumes are, like, a third the length of the Golden Kamuy ones.
Yeah. So here's the other thing is the Jackal stuff is, like, I think it's like. Is it like 1.5 volume? No, it's like it's 2.5. 2.5 of these volumes. So it is half.
Yes. Yeah.
It is half of the total page count. But it's just and then it was just kind of wow, that was over quick. So I read it all in like one day. I was like I say one day, like I spent most of my day reading it. I read it all in like a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I think it was neat. It was an interesting look at the franchise in this period when it's, like, kind of dormant, but there's, like, the thing that kind of, like, kept it going and kind of revived it. We'll be curious to see, like, how influential it is, though there's a degree to which I was like, not to not to call out my friends, but the way they're like, oh man, this is, like, such a important, significant manga, and I'm like, oh, that's okay, that's it, okay. And the characters are a bit more two-dimensional than I guess I would have liked. Like, I was like, damn, people be liking Melos when he's just Big Dick Man? Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, but, I do like the Zoffy stuff, because, it's nice to see.
Here's Zoffy.
Yeah.
Got to post it again after a long time.
Yeah.
Well, my final thoughts are just I read this and I went, man, I should get back to Get a Robo.
Yeah.
Because it's like of this sort
Here's the
of...
Zoffy themes that Cedric sent.
Oh, thank you. I will.
You can pick two.
Nice.
One of the first one is from the Zoffy movie, obviously, the Zoffy compilation movie, and the other one is just the one they made later that I kind of like more, and I kind of want you to react to it.
Okay. I'm not. I don't want to drop this into the episode.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Just listen like the first two. It's number 3.
I'll listen. Okay. Let me hang on. Okay. This is okay. Okay.
Anyway.
Amuro.
Yes.
What was I saying? I want to go back and read some Get a Robo, because like it's like the similar style of manga, but like it's like, what if it was crazy? What if like all the protagonists were so evil it was unbelievable, and we were hitting the genocide counter button every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think I read like 2 chapters of the original Get a Robo, and I felt like it was a weird thing to read, but I should get back to it. Now that I think about it, like I do remember those first 2 chapters. Like actually, this is kind of going in a similar space as these ones, just like crazier. Yeah.
So that's kind of it for now. I know you don't have color timers because that's impossible.
Well, I have like trivia stuff I was gonna
yeah, go for it.
do first. Yeah. Just gonna do first. Like first, I'm gonna do the trivia for the animation, and then I'll give you the details of the Taro and Elf chapter that we didn't get. Mainly, the main thing is just voice actors for the animation. Every male character in that animation is voiced by Koichi Yamadera, who we've actually heard before on this podcast, as Zoffy in Shin Ultraman. However, people who are anime fans may better know him as Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, Beerus from Dragon Ball, Kaji from Evangelion, the current voice of Zenigata in Lupin III, the dub voice of Donkey from Shrek.
Okay.
And last but certainly not least, Tokusa from Ghost in the Shell.
Okay. Last, and definitely least,
and then,
the Japanese guy from Genlock.
And then the female voices, which is the narrator in Mother of Ultra by Megumi Hayashibara, plays Faye Valentine in Bebop, Rei and Yui in Evangelion. Important character from Detective Conan I haven't got to yet, Hayashibara. And also apparently recently problematic right-wing tweets, from what I gather. Because apparently she's been watching nothing but cable news or something.
I see.
Echo Chamber. But yeah. That's it for the animation, really. You can find more yourself, I guess, if you want to look it up. Anyway. Taro and Elf. Friends forever.
Who's Elf?
He's Taro's friend who's an Ultra.
He's
but
Ultra
the problem
Elf?
is... Yeah.
That's Elf?
But the problem is, he's a guy who turns evil. He's another
Evil Ultra.
Yeah.
Gasp.
So,
You can tell he's evil because he has a pentagram on his head.
yeah, he's got the 7 kind of look. They were childhood friends and part of the Red Tribe, like 7. I'm like, okay, let's.
Oh, okay. So he is some kind of minority.
Yeah. At some point, he ends up becoming a Ronin and leaves the Land of Light.
Ronin? Okay.
I'm basing the summary off of the Pixiv Wiki, by the way, because Elf has a Pixiv Wiki page.
I see.
He then saves the life of a Bolton prince and gains the favor of the Bolton people. And even calls himself King Bolton and decides to conquer the universe. Quote from the Ultra Wiki, "I'll help the poor Boltons from the cold Ultras."
You said this guy was supposed to be evil?
Well, different points of view.
Yeah.
Elf and Taro fight, but Elf spares Taro's life because of their old friendship. Taro eventually manages to reconvince him to not conquer the universe, but now the Boltons consider Elf a traitor and the two get imprisoned. In order to stop the Boltons from invading the Ultra homeworld, Elf and Taro escape, and Taro somehow manages to teach Elf on the spot how to do the Ultra Dynamite move, which Elf uses to blow up the Boltons' energy reactor and thwart their plans. However, Taro didn't teach Elf the physical regeneration technique, so the Ultraman Dynamite move doesn't he just blows him up and he dies. But it's it's a noble, intentional sacrifice.
That's incredible. Good job, Taro.
The Bolton army is exploded and the day is saved.
Oh, thank God we destroyed the Boltons again.
Yeah. As you can see in the second image I sent, he's like breaking out of a Bolton costume, which is funny.
I see. Oh yeah, that's what's happening. Okay. This one sounds like it has a plot in a way that some of the others don't. Yes.
Yeah. An arc, maybe. Not that one, but
not that one.
At least a semblance of one.
Yeah. Well, good to know. There's an Ultraman called Elf.
Yeah.
And he tried to help the Boltons conquer the universe.
And then he became a fucking. Oh no! Going back, I just quickly checked the wiki page for the short and see producer Hideaki Anno.
Oh, Hideaki Anno produced that short? Well, so
yeah,
doesn't surprise me.
I believe it.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Directed by Akitoshi Yokoyama and Hisashi Mori.
Okay. Well.
That's what you get.
Well. It sounds like we might be done. Do we
I think
have any emails?
Let me check. I don't think we did this week, actually. No, we don't.
Okay, fantastic. We can go home. I say home like we're not already there. That is it from us this week. Next week will not be any Well, there will be Ultraman, but it won't be a new. Hang on. It won't be an old Ultraman. It will. Okay. Next week, me and Mel are doing Golden Kamuy.
Yeah.
But we're also doing Ultraman Omega, the first 2 episodes.
Yes. So I set out the based on our experiences last year. I've set the numerically sound schedule for skipping the cues, where we do first impressions with the first 2.
Yeah.
We do 5 episode batches for the rest of the show, except for the last 3.
I see.
Which fits in nicely well with like the holiday break.
Yeah.
Well, so.
Sick.
And also because it did feel weird when he did like a batch of 5 for the last episode of Arc. Because it was like, well, the last arc sure did happen, but also check out the school mask guy.
Yeah. I mean, that mask guy was cool.
He was probably the highlight of the show.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got Golden Kamuy and Ultraman, first 2 episodes of Ultraman Omega next week. The week after is, I believe, we will English. I became Porky Pig for a second there. Yeah. We will be starting Ultraman 80. Which is going to be the best one.
Yeah, as we established.
True.
Because, he came to us from a star.
He did come, yeah.
And it's going to be good. So, we'll be starting that 2 weeks' time. Do we have it to do any, like episode count fuckery with that show?
Yeah, I have it scheduled out, though.
Okay, cool.
I have 2 batches of 4, and I have perfectly planned them.
Perfectly planned.
2 ideal points.
Okay.
But we'll talk about those as we get into the show itself. We don't need to say it here.
Yeah. First week, just be 3 episodes. So that's in 2 weeks' time. All right. I think we can wrap up. If you want to find us online, you can do so at ultra_Q. That is at ultra_QUEUE. That is on Twitter. We are also on Blue Sky at ultraQUEUE. No underscores on Blue Sky. I am also on Blue Sky at Red November. Those are my plugs. Mel.
Hi, you can follow me at Dear Crowns, Twitter and Blue Sky. We have the email, ultraqpod@gmail.com. Send in stuff for our Golden Canon, I guess, for next week. And we also have the coffee, UltraQ Fund. Brad.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at Be Invoked. It's BEINVOKED. And I'm around.
Sick. Well, until next time, please send in your Ultraman OCs. by email. We will be discussing them at a future date. We will give you a rating.
We'll be measuring up against Melos.
Yeah, we will be measuring your OC's dick length against Melos.
I found out yesterday that apparently Noda, post finishing Golden Kamuy, gave canonical dick sizes for all the characters.
Of course he did. I know things that happen in future Golden Kamuy that are going. Your jaw is going to hit the floor.
I was already doing that when I read
I know
that one half of that volume in its importance. I was like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be doing this.
There's a clip of Golden Kamuy that they had to air separate, they could not release, but they released it separately from airing the episode itself. For the anime. I already have one of the titles of our future episodes already laid out for one particular infamous incident from the Golden Kamuy manga, because it contributes perfectly with a Western title. We'll get there. You'll know.
We'll get there.
So yeah, goodbye for now. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Later.
Sophie, 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 Sophie. 太陽いくつ超えたら弟よお前の星に着くのだふるさとの野谷山は変わらずにあるがそこにはもう一人の人影もない遠い星の弟たちよ惜しく戦っているか怒りの刃で悪を倒せ風も絶え戦火の匂いがするだけどいつかみんなでウルトラの星の歌を声を合わせ肩を組みながら心ゆくまで歌おうゾフィーゾフィーゾフィーゾフィー